Hi, a few coworkers wanted to do an Advent of Code challenge this year. I've never actually done Advent of Code before, but I have done HackerRank and LeetCode, and obviously I'm a software engineer at my day job. So don't exactly know what to expect, but I assume it will be fairly similar to those experiences. I figured doing a video series would be good because it kind of forces me to get on and log in every day. And not having done Advent of Code before, so I don't know what to expect other than I know that every day there's two similar problems that use the same input file, and they get harder as December progresses. You put your answers in just plain string, I think, and so that way you can really solve it however you want. I guess you could even solve it with pen and paper if you wanted to. My current day job is all in Java, but I usually prefer Kotlin, and that's what I already have set up on my desktop, so that's what I'm going to stick with for this. And I'm not trying to solve it like the fastest or the slickest or do code golf or anything. I'm not trying to get to the top of the leaderboard. So I'm just going to take my time, try not to use any magic functions, and really try to just explain my thought process and what the code is actually doing each day. All my code will be up on GitHub, so check the link in the description. If you haven't solved today's problem already and would like to try it out, pause the video and then come back after. And I'm sure there's probably like 100 people on YouTube that are doing Advent of Code videos this year. I haven't even looked, but to the two of you who end up watching this one, thanks for picking mine, and please sign the guest book. We have just over a minute left, which I guess I'm actually blocking. So just over a minute left. And I guess I'll pick back up then. 5 more seconds. And we are live. Okay. So day 1, calorie counting. Santa's reindeer typically eat reindeer food, but they need a lot of magical energy to deliver presents on Christmas. I don't know. Okay. For that, their favorite snack is a special type of star, a fruit that only grows deep in the jungle. The elves have brought you on their annual expedition to the grove where the fruit grows. To supply enough magical energy, the expedition needs to retrieve a minimum of 50 stars by December 25th. I guess it's all 25 problems times 2. Although the elves assure you that the grove has plenty of fruit, you decide to grab any fruit you see along the way just in case. Collect stars by solving puzzles. 2 puzzles will be made available, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The jungle must be too overgrown and difficult to navigate in vehicles or access from air. The elves' expedition traditionally goes on foot. As your boots approach the land, the elves begin taking inventory of their supplies. One important consideration is food, in particular the number of calories each elf is carrying, your puzzle input. The elves take turns writing down the number of calories contained by the various meals, snacks, rations, etc. that they brought with them, 1 item per line. Each elf separates their own inventory from the previous elf's inventory, if any, by a blank line. For example, suppose your elves finish writing their items' calories and end up with the following list. This list represents the calories of the food carried by the 5 elves. First elf is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, for total 6,000. Second elf is blah, blah, blah. Okay. In case the elves get hungry and need extra snacks, they know which elf to ask. They'd like to know how many calories are being carried by the elf carrying the most calories. In this example above, it's the 2,400 for this guy. Find the elf carrying the most calories. How many calories is that elf carrying? So the first thing I think we'll want to do is we'll grab this sample input and we'll head over to IntelliJ and throw that into the test input. Okay, and so basically we're going to want to read this as I guess we'll just read it as strings. Also, you may wonder why I'm using long for these. That's because frequently in these problems, at least harder problems, there will be some sort of overflow or underflow error. So if you're not using long, you'll get bit by that at some point. Okay, so trying to think of how to do this without using collections, but basically we're just going to go through each line. So for line and input, and then we'll also have just a collection of elves. So we're going to start with the first elf, and basically if line is basically if it's an empty string, then we're going to say the current elf is incremented by 1. And then if it's not, then we're going to basically elves of current elf. That needs to be array plus equals whatever the current thing is time or plus 1. And then all we're going to want to do from there, I guess, is we want the maximum. So so Kotlin has a nice little max by operator, so we just say max by it. So the iterator is just what's in here, and we only care about the long. And then I think that should be good. So the first one, the answer for the practice problem is 2,400 or 24,000 calories. This check basically is going to say if it doesn't pass the sample input, it will crash and won't even let us continue. Oh, that's my fault. Yeah, so I need to add an elf first. And a base elf. Okay, so it correctly did the 2,400. So now the next thing to do is let's go get our puzzle input. And then back to project. And then paste that in. And then we should just be able to run it again. Okay, so this is failing on the second solution here. But the answer should be 72017. Right answer, we got part 2. We got a gold star. Okay, continue to part 2. By the time you calculate the answer to the elves' question, they've already realized that the elf carrying the most calories of food might eventually run out of snacks. To avoid this unacceptable situation, the elves would instead like to know the total number of calories carried by the top 3 elves carrying the most calories. That way, even if one of those elves happens to run out of snacks, they still have 2 backups. In the above example, blah, 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 so we want 4,500. Okay, that's easy enough. So head back to IntelliJ here. The answer to the second part is 4,500. And then okay, so what we'll need to do is we're going to sort them first, descending order, and then we're going to take the top 3, and then we're going to sum basically all of that, and then I think that should be right. Oh, that's not supposed to be input. That's supposed to be test input. I did not set this up right. All right, 21 or 202,520, and I wanted to get 45,000. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I passed the check. Yeah. So that's the answer. Okay. Okay, so that's the right answer. You were 1 gold star close to collecting enough fruit. You have completed day 1. You can share on everything. Great. So yeah, that's the first one. And I guess we'll have to wait a day for the next. Let me walk through here real quick because I kind of did the last part of that a little quickly. Yeah, so I'll go through here and basically I said there's probably some easier ways to do this with collections and stuff that are a little bit cleaner or shorter. I'm not going to take the time to try to figure that out specifically, and as I said, I'm trying to keep it more simple to explain what's going on here. But basically, we're going to just make a mutable list. A mutable list in Kotlin is basically just that. It's a list that you can continually add elements to, so you don't have to tell it how big you want it to be to begin with. If you don't initialize it with something, it's going to be an empty list, which is my error from earlier. And then basically we're going to say the current elf, which is just going to be the index of this list that we want to hit, is going to be 0. And then for the line and input, if it's an empty line, we're going to add a new elf, and we're going to increase our index to the last one. We could also just, instead of keeping track of current elf and all this stuff, we could just do elves dot last, I think, it's the index of. And anyway, but it's pretty simple to go through. Basically, just add, make a new elf, add, make a new elf as needed. And then the max by operator just goes through a collection and returns the max of the list based off of what you send in. In this case, since the list itself is just a list of longs, we don't really have to do any logic or anything. We just do the max of it. That's the iterator. So basically that long value. For part 2, again, same exact first code. The only difference is the return value. Instead of returning the top elf, what we're going to do is we're going to just sort them first, and then take the top 3, which is a nice little collection in the Kotlin that you can do, and then just do a quick sum of that. You could also, instead of just sort by descending, you could just do sorted by it, and then instead of take 3, I think it's just take last, and then you could do it. It should be exactly the same. Yeah. So anyway, nice and simple first day, easy start, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow.